What is up with the squad? It's your favorite auntie with Uncle Tennessee's in the building. Y'all know what it is. It's PoliSports Tea Time. We're a little bit pushed back today, but we're gonna have this conversation. Lil, what's good?
What's going on? Time to spill the tea.
Time to spill the tea. Before we spill the tea, let me say this, y'all. We see y'all out here. At least get a credit where the credit is due. Like I keep telling y'all, man, Lil do a whole lot of research, a whole lot of work into putting these shows together. And to see these other content creators just out here using their words, using their work, not giving no credit, nasty work, man. Nasty work. You ain't just say where you heard it. That's all. Just say where you heard it. Yeah, coming in the door, hit the like and the share. They both right there. Let's have this conversation. Let's have this conversation. So, welcome back, y'all, to Cess Talk Sports, BY's PoliSports Tea Time. Today's tea is kicks, contracts, and equity, ownership over endorsements. This one I've been looking forward to having, Lil, because this one is really like a new way of thinking that we can implement right now. Like this can be done right now. I don't know what's going on with my camera. 1 second. This is something that can be done right now. From George's blueprint, right, to the NIL wave, sneaker deals, the bridges to the generational wealth, y'all. Teen athletes got $1 million checks, financial literacy gaps, that equal fortune gone. Stakes is high, okay? Allen Iverson's playbook, that was Reebok. It was a trust. It dropped $32 million at 55. That's legacy, not hype. Tonight, the sneaker contract, the art of the deal, getting equity out your shoe game. Flip kicks in the capital. Spot the traps, protect the bag, follow the AI model, follow the Jordan model, or follow a model. Y'all know I don't sip solo. Bringing in the blade who cuts through spin, political ill. What's good?
All right, what's up, fam? Thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Look, Auntie kind of really set the table already, but let me add a little favor. This combo isn't just about sneakers. It's about systems, and y'all ought to get one. The sneaker game is culture, it's community, and it's economics. Now, these deals can either make you a walking billboard or they can make you a shareholder. And that's the difference between signing away your power or stacking, the equity for your family and your future. And so the way I see it, athletes today are sitting on one of the biggest opportunities in sports history. NIL done cracked the door open, but equity is the key to walking through it. And that's why tonight we're going to want to break it down play by play, contract by contract.
Oh, absolutely. But before we dive into the NIL, right, the sneaker bag, let's go back. Because the sneaker game was not new. It didn't start with Jordan or Iverson. It started with Chuck Taylor. We talking kicks and equity tonight. And Chuck Taylor, he wasn't just hooping. He was branded before branding was a thing, right? He was before his time. 70s, we had Walt Clyde Frazier with Puma. I think he was the first baller that really had that swag and signature style. Sneakers flipped from gear and fashion to culture. 80s and the 90s, we had Jordan. Changed everything. Air Jordan wasn't an endorsement. It was empire, equity. It was global domination. Meanwhile, Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, blurred sports, sneakers, hip-hop, building icons out of kicks. And then Allen Iverson popped on the scene and changed the entire game. Braids, swagger, tattoos, attitude. Reebok made him the culture. Or maybe he made Reebok the culture. But here's the contrast, right? Jordan's deal, it resulted in ownership, billions. Iverson's deal had the protection clause that gave him a trust fund at 55. Both lock in generational wealth. Both are strategies that can work, but you just have to figure out which one fits best for you and your lifestyle. I think the lesson is that big checks without vision don't build legacy, though. It's the ownership plus the equity to flip the culture into capital. So, Leo, I'm gonna ask you, when you look back at the Jordan deal versus the Iverson shoe deal, what do you see as the biggest difference in how those deals shaped kind of like the sneaker economy? And then do you think today's NIL athletes are closer to repeating Iverson's mistakes, or do they got an opportunity to follow Jordan's ownership playbook? And I don't necessarily know that I think that Iverson made mistakes. Everybody's not built to be an owner, right? So sometimes you invest your generational wealth. So your thoughts there?
Well, Jordan deal created equity. and he became a brand that's still printing money today. Now, Iverson deal was a little more about protection. It kept, kept him safe, but it didn't really build him an empire, in terms of having that ownership. So one built ownership and then one built survival. And it's because their mindsets when they played was a little different. Jordan seemed more mature and maybe had a team around him that was more money focused. And then in the case of Iverson, Iverson had a big heart. He was taking care of the block. He was taking care of the family. He was taking care of uncles. Anybody that pretty much asked him, he didn't understand the value of money down the line. So he, while he was rich, he was, handing out a lot of money where there was nothing coming back to him. And Jordan's mother, bless her heart, she took a different approach. She saw this as an opportunity for her son to create wealth beyond, his playing days. Now, I think either deal could work for athletes today. I really do. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting a lifetime $800,000, per month, and then getting a payoff at $32 million at 55. By that time, hopefully you mature enough to understand that money could last you 30 years and you still can leave a legacy for your children. So I see it, but I think today, because of the global impact of these athletes and the emerging markets, international markets, like you got Africa has the youngest people on the planet, so they're going to have an emerging market. And then China is huge. Then you got India, so you have some developing markets that you could tap into, that could make you super rich. So it's just it got to be what fits you. But the thing is to try to get some value in terms of either getting that equity, or making sure you got a lifetime check, because the ball is going to stop bouncing. And I've heard several athletes, like even Reese said that one day I'm not going to be playing ball. So you have to think about your future like that. So I like the path to ownership, but I'm not, dissatisfied, if you will, with the Iverson deal, because a lot of that depends on what you can bargain, from these corporate owners.
Well, I mean, what's up, Vito? We appreciate you pulling up in the chat. As y'all coming in, hit the like and the share. They both right there. Let them know we having this conversation. And each one of y'all invite 10 the next time you pull up. Let's stay right here for a minute. So, what I think for Iverson, because I think he said it was like $800,000 a month, and then he got the $32 million at 55. And $800,000 a month, for it could be fun for only so many years, right? So my thinking is that at some point, some financial literacy, right, is brought into the situation, because I don't think that and Bubba Chuck Allen is one of my favorites, not even just hoop players, just favorite people of all time. So I don't think that he walked in with like a great financial literacy understanding, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that there was space for him to grow in that space over time, right? So you would hope that, okay, you got 32 million coming at 55, but we would hope at some point with the 800,000 that you're getting in, at some point we putting some of that back too, mm-hmm. right? And so I think when we think about like Jordan ownership, and listen, I'm gonna be honest. I love what Jordan was able to do with his ownership and the jump man, what he's been able to do, but I don't know that everybody should move like that. Mm-hmm. Like Jordan should move like that. Kobe should move like that. I've never had a pair of LeBrons. I don't know that I know a lot of people who had a pair of LeBrons. And I'm not saying that LeBron shoes don't sell. I just don't know that they'll be as iconic and people have the opportunity to have the longevity that Michael has been able to have. Like his Jordan brand has made like his grandkids money. Like the
He'll never see
generation,
a broke day.
you know what I'm saying? The generational wealth that he's been able to amass, right? Phenomenal. Probably worth a show on its own. But I think the best deal for these players right now is the deal that gives them a little bit of all three, right? With the financial literacy, I think it's the best thing for them is something that gives them a little bit of all three. So I want some ownership, right? I want some ownership and design control over what we're doing. I want some money right now because you're gonna make some money right now, and I want to make sure that I put something up so that I'm okay down the line. And then even if you can't structure that deal, even if the business doesn't structure it for you, as far as like the payoff at 55, you can put the money up in the trust yourself and not touch it. You know, like you can put your own restraints. And so I just want to make sure as we have these type of conversations, especially around NIL and you know, revenue sharing and collectives and all of those things, that we're being as creative as we can around how we can use and leverage some of this money. And I know I saw somebody on one of the comments like, it's not your money, it's not our money. And we're not saying that this is what they have to do. What we're saying is what could be if this was the option that they chose, or even if some chose to use their money this way. So I want to know from y'all, if you had the chance, right? Would you take the quick $1 million sneaker check right now, fam? Would y'all take the quick $1 million sneaker check right now? Or would you hold out for the equity that might change your family's life forever? Let me know in the chat. I want to know, would you take the $1 million right now or the equity and 100,000 right now? $1 million right now and no equity, 100,000 right now and equity down the line. What do you take? And there, I don't think there's a right answer, because you can build generational wealth either way, but you have to have the right strategy to match what you decide. So the trust fund deal still whispered like sneaker plus, you know, whispered in sneaker plus finance circles that it was not just an endorsement, it was a lifetime contract. And I don't know that we saw like a lifetime contract of that magnitude. He was the face of Reebok long after his game. I'm trying to think. Like, I know Shaq wore Reeboks, but Allen Iverson to me was the biggest Reebok star. Remind me in the chat who I'm forgetting. I think the jewel was the $32 million trust fund locked in until 55. I'm bad with money, so I would take the spread. I got you. The spread out option. I feel you. See, I tell people all the time, it ain't no way in the world that I would ever, like on the Powerball and stuff, Lil, ain't no way I would take the money up front. No, spread me out, homie. Spread me out. You know why? It's my money and I need it now. You see what I'm saying? So once it's in my but people don't, but you know, as a culture, a lot of times, especially in business and things, we don't know that people, you know, they factor their finances and get loans on money that they got coming. They get, you know, in backroom deals and other setups, right? So there's factoring and there's other things that go on to be able to generate capital if you need it, if you're not as liquid as you need to be, right? Because you've taken a long-term payout, you got some money coming down the line. That's why they go, hey, it's my money and I need it now. Hey, I'm calling you. Hey, what can I get? It's my money and I need it now, right? But it's still my money, right? And so we need to educate ourselves around trust and life trust and how we protect our assets. And, you know, is it a living trust? Is it a, you know, we got to educate ourselves about these things. I'm not going to go into all of that right now, but the trust fund is not hype money. That's locked in generational wealth. That's generational planning. And it was two purposes: protect Iverson from Iverson. He was a young dude. We hadn't seen somebody have that type of money at his age. They thought that he was a, you know, fast life, flashy days. They thought he was. I don't think that Allen was doing any more than any other young NBA athlete. I think that he just did it more in their face. But I love that Reebok cared about him enough, right? And I'm not a big fan of Reeboks. Like, I don't know if you go in my closet right now that I got a pair of Reeboks. I don't know that, but so I've never been a real big fan of Reeboks. I've had some in my lifetime, but I've always loved the way that they've taken care of their athletes. But I thought the deal also blocked the vultures. They was like, man, he ain't got no money, fake friends, lawyers. They got to wait him out to 55 to get that bread. It's other hustles. It's other hustles out there we can knock out. But Reebok flipped it. The safety net disguised as a treasure chest. And at that time, that was super radical. We hadn't seen that. A baller with cornrows, tats, crossover swagger, tied to well protection. Because when they seen him hit the league, practice. They had him broke before he left the NBA. They had him owing money by the time he left the NBA. That's how they was betting on the kid, right? They didn't understand how he was going to change the game and what a cultural icon he is. Like I don't know that people really accept and respect the fact that like from a cultural standpoint, Allen Iverson brought as much to this game as Michael Jordan did. He bought the hip hop, he bought the swagger, he bought the unapologetically in your face. I'm gonna be me, put on a suit, I'm gonna wear a jersey. Who you talking to? Like, what you talking about? They changed the rules for him, and he still was like, still wearing my throwbacks. Yeah, suit, not for me. I'll collar shirt or something, guys. I ain't doing that. But that's what made it different. It was part endorsement, it was part life insurance, but it was all future proof. Legally locked in, finish line secured. And when you hear, do you see it as a cautionary tale, this Iverson's deal? Or do you really believe that this is a model that NIL athletes should actually be pushing for, something like this right now, Will?
You know what? It's kind of a little bit of both. It's a cautionary tale because AI has to wait for, decades before access. But then again, you could say it's a smart model in that it protects the athletes, ensure they have long-term wealth, depending on how it's structured. So like you were saying earlier, it depends on your situation, what your habits are, how much self-control you got, how much money discipline, maybe you wasn't taught money discipline, or you don't have financial literacy, to the point of making a different deal. And then you got to consider what the corporation is willing to structure, on your behalf. They wanted his face around. They thought he was as important to them as Jordan was to Nike. In the case of Jordan deal, it wasn't. I don't think the term branding was really fashionable. When Jordan made his deal or getting I think it was what's the guy the actor that did the Mission Impossible series. He was kind of first guy that was had structured a Hollywood deal where he was getting money off them tickets and money off of merchandise.
Michael Jordan was the one who taught athletes how to be global superstars. You hadn't seen a global, especially not a black male global superstar before Michael. Now, it's funny that we talk about Michael as such a great businessman because when you ask Michael, he talks about magic. So magic is another fascination. Maybe we'll talk magic and Michael's business deals and business know-how at some point. But he taught them how to be a global superstar. We hadn't seen that. We hadn't seen a basketball player show up in another country, with how big was that thing? That billboard they had of Jordan when he got to
Spain, Barcelona.
When he got to Spain. Yeah, when he got to Barcelona. I don't even remember how big it was. Like, he was a global superstar with he went viral with no social media. Think about that. It's people that came. I'm trying to go viral right now with 19 platforms. He went viral off his game and Sports Center. So like, I think he taught them how to do it first. And then Iverson kind of just built on that. But I think that they thought Iverson was going to be different coming out of Georgetown and John Thompson's program. Right? They expected, because remember, Allen was coming out at the same time Ray was coming out. And it was kind of a Ray Allen Iverson kind of thing. And it was like, Virginia versus, this clean cut guy, and Allen had been to jail and all of these things, but he was still clean cut. He hadn't got his tats yet. He hadn't got his braids. He hadn't done any of that stuff yet. He hadn't done any of that until he got his money. And then he let them know kind of who he was. But And y'all let me know in the chat, is his trust fund deal, is that genius protection, or was that too much control by the sneaker company over his money? Because, and I want young people to know too, like, when you're thinking about like this type of strategy deal, it doesn't have to be tied back to your shoe company. You can put that money up your own self in the trust and lock it up from your own self. But
yeah.
Let me see where I want to go here. So, okay, let's back up. Do you think that NIL sneaker deals are really creating real equity for athletes, or are they just shiny checks with no long-term vision? Like, I think about a Flage who's a Puma athlete, but she doesn't even get to wear Puma a lot because she's at a Nike school. So are they real? Is it real equity, or is this a shiny check?
I think most of the NIL deals, I think they shiny checks right now because it's so, you're so young into that game. I don't think that the athletes have cashed in on their cachet yet to be able to put together, deals where they have, some ownership, in these sneaker companies. Plus, if you limit it in terms of your marketability, you going to a school that, is featuring Nike, and I think they should drop a lawsuit to eliminate that. I don't think Flaw J want to jump out and do it, but somebody need to do it because we're not going to be half free. You're either free to use your NIL or you're not, and that should not be a restriction because unless they're going to give you a cut of the money, that they're giving the school. If that's going to come out in the terms of a NIL payment, then I'm gonna put Puma to the side and I'm gonna go ahead and wear Nike. But if only the school is benefiting, then you back to putting the athlete in constraints, and that needs to be dealt with. And I think it needs to be dealt with in the courts because the intent of the ruling by the Supreme Court was that you be able to take your name, image, and likeness and do business. I can't do business or I'm not gonna get paid as much if I'm at a Nike school, so they don't do it in the pros, and and I know that's the so-called pros, but bottom line is money is flowing, and it should be flowing freely. That's just my, way I see it.
That's a real interesting concept. You can't be half free, so I like that. If I, teams have deals with shoe companies. And then players are free at the professional level to wear the shoes that, the deals that they signed. So I'll put your uniform on, but my shoes will be mine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what's the big deal at the college level, why it can't be that as well. If it work at the pro level, and it's not changing anything. I think I like what you said there about you can't be half free, man. Give up the money. So, do you think athletes should be leaning more toward the Nikes of the world, or should they take a gamble on the stock X's and smaller brands looking to innovate? And y'all let me know too in the chat. If y'all were a college athlete today, would you sign with a big name sneaker company for security, or would you partner with a startup for a chance to build something new?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't know if it was I don't know if it's those girl twins. I can't think of the Cardos, the twins that was at Miami.
Oh, the Cavenders.
Yeah. I think they were interested in doing something like that. You got a couple of athletes that would prefer to have creative control and maybe create something unique. And so, that would work more for a startup, depending on, plus you want to be like 50 Cent. You want to get that, get that equity, for a bigger payoff down the line because you remember Nike absorbed Converse shoes. Mm-hmm. And there's a possibility that somewhere down the line, if you got, holding shares in that company, some big company might come along and swoop up your creativity. I mean, it's just such a wide open market,
Well, let's stay right here for a second, Liv. Let's stay right here for a second, because it's important that you make a decision about what is your strategy and what is it that you want. Like, do you want to just kind of have a shoe while you playing and then you kind of done with it? Are you looking to have a brand? Are you looking to, like, actually have a, like, and I'm asking this because I'm thinking about Kawhi Leonard, right? And so think about Kawhi. Kawhi had, I don't know, one day in high school, college, sometime had sketched that claw, that claw logo, right? It was the claw logo. I think it was high school, college. I don't remember when he did it, but it was something that he did. It was personal to him. And then he signed the deal with Nike, and they used the claw. And unknowingly, he gave all the rights away to his logo. So when he got ready to move on to New Balance, he was like, "Yeah, okay, Nike, I'm up. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna get that logo." And Nike was like, "What logo? Not our logo." And Kawhi was like, "What you mean, your logo? You wasn't there when I drew that in high school." Yeah, but remember when you wanted the money? Remember? So you got to read all the pages in the contract. You gave up all your rights to that logo. So you got to be careful. And so it to me, it depends on, who you are. You don't want to miss your exit strategy. The one thing that I tell people, even as a brand business, whatever, one of the things that I learned from being able to see my family's business fail was that if you don't know how your business closes the day that you open it, you've already failed. If you don't know what it looks like when you close the doors on this, whether it's, hey, you know what, I'm working this thing to the day I die, and when I close the lights out, that's it, that's fine. If it's, hey, I'm gonna build this thing up and my kids are gonna take it over, make sure that you built them up and put them in the situation to be able to take it. Make sure that they're interested first in even being in the business, because sometimes you see people build up a business and you want to give it to the kids. Kids ain't interested in that. Right? And you see it right now, like in the Asian communities where, families came here as immigrants and built up, great Chinese restaurants, and they want the kids like, man, I'm about to go to college. I'm Gen Z. I got other stuff. I'm about to be an influencer. I'm not getting in that kitchen with you. That's not what I want to do. And so now what do you do? So you have to know what your exit strategy is so that you don't miss the exit. If it's, hey, I'm gonna build this thing up and sell it, you don't want to miss it when they come to buy. Because my family missed the opportunities to sell that could have created generational wealth. Right, because in my grandfather's mind, this thing was gonna go on forever, and each generation was gonna take it over. That wasn't everybody playing, and we didn't have a quick enough family meeting about it, a real family meeting about it to be able to say, this is the plan and this is how we support it. And so that's one of the things when these young people are getting with their families and their supportives, and I don't want to be on the soapbox, but I want to make sure that I get this out. That when you get with your team, that you're really clear and transparent about what you're building the strategy for and what you want your generational wealth to look like. Is it something that you're getting up and going to work for every day, or are you turning it into something that's making money for you while you sleep? What is your passion, and how are you breaking those irons up so you ain't got all your eggs in one basket? Make sure you know those things. The playbook, it's time for solutions. Breaking history is one thing. Building blueprints is the point, though. And so endorsement checks, them is cool, but equity is what equals the wealth. So for NIL athletes, the playbook has to be trust funds plus delayed payments. Protect the bag from yourself and the sharks. So whatever you've been living on $200 a month, at college now. So if you can get $1,000 a month and live, that's okay. And I don't mean 1,000, right? I'm not saying I don't want the kids eating sardines and sandwiches. No, live your life. You know what I'm saying? Because this is your name, your image, your likeness. You putting the work in. Enjoy your life, but make sure that you put it up so that it's sustainable. That it's sustainable. And so equity, stakes, royalties. Don't just sign on every pair with your name on it. I believe Michael. Did he trademark his name? Because for a minute you couldn't even put. I remember on a video game they couldn't even put his name on the video game. It was that cold. Like they would just have a bald head dude with 23 on the back. He'd be like, "There goes Jordan." It didn't say Jordan's name on the back. Because Jordan had to tell you that I remember it being a big deal when they could actually put Jordan into the NBA games. Like you could, hey man, he was doing all the moves and everything, but it better not say Jordan on the back of that because he didn't say so. Ownership, man, your name, your image, your likeness. the thing about your name, your image, your likeness, you can open up and close up shop anywhere on any corner any day. You don't need no brick and mortar, nothing. So own your name, your image, your likeness. Focus on it. I hope young people get a chance to see this. Profit sharing on drops. Resale culture is hot. Athletes should eat too. So when you drop, give me some profit sharing on that drop. Licensing rights. Loan the logo. Don't sell it. Keep the brand control, like I was talking about with Kawhi. None of this hits without the right squad, right? You got to have the right agents. You got to have the right lawyers, advisors. You got to be locked in, and they got to be locked in on the athlete's best interest. Too many kids signing blind. Too many kids walk around. It's like, who is they working with? The man that used to run the taco shop. Why is he the advisor? Just some of the people that are in these young people corners. Just like I don't understand. But a sneaker deal starter kit, clauses, royalty splits, licensing language. That's the difference between a walking billboard and a walking business. That's the blueprint. Clauses, royalty splits, licensing language. Y'all hear me? So, what role do you think the athlete's circle, their family, their agent, their lawyer, plays in making sure that these NIL sneaker deals actually lead to equity instead of exploitation, Lil?
You don't have to look no farther than Angel Reese circle. I mean, the circle is everything. You got to have trusted families, savvy agents, good lawyers who are gatekeepers because they make sure, your deals protect the athlete, builds equity, and doesn't just hand over the power or brand to someone else. So when you're young, you're in high school, your parents really got to do their homework. Then part of your education, and this is why I advise athletes, major in business, major in sports business, make sure you take marketing classes, finance classes, because these are the things you have to be able to check everybody too. Because people got burned like that in the music business big time. Somebody recommending you go over here and talk to this lawyer, and then the lawyer turned out to be a shyster, backdoor kicking money and stuff like that. So you have to have enough knowledge to ask questions. That's the main thing, and to make sure that you get the right answer. So you should always have more than one advisor. The Bible even says there's safety in a multitude of counsels. So you need to have counselors, that can steer you right, but you still can't be like, oh, I'm just performing, you take care of the business. Them days is over. And that's how a lot of people winded up, back flipping burgers at McDonald's instead of, having the wealth they needed to carry on their lives. So don't just hand over power, ask questions.
Mm-hmm. So if you had to design a model sneaker deal for a college star, what's the one clause you absolutely make sure was in the contract?
Gotta be that equity and royalty clause. Making sure you get a percentage of every drop, every sale, every drop, and it is paid directly to you. And so that turns your hype into ownership. It's not just a one-time check. If you got somebody, trying to hand you a one-time check, tell them you go give me 48 hours and we'll get back with you, because maybe that's not a good deal. Like I said, brings me back to the gentleman and the boxers finally figured this out too. When they started doing the pay-per-views, Mayweather and them was like, oh, let me get a piece of this. Let me get a cut of this. Let me get a cut of this. It wasn't just the promoter giving you a one-time check and then you out the game and you find out there's 12 other revenue sources that you could have been collected from. So you have to start with some kind of idea of how things work. I mean, take a course in merchandising. That's how Magic Johnson went to David Stern and told him, look, we know the merchandising game out here, and we need to get a cut of that merchandise. Then before you open your mouth, I already talked to Larry Bird and the rest of the guys, and we all agree we need to get a cut of that merchandise. So David Stearns couldn't do nothing but laugh, and say, well, okay, we're going to get y'all a cut, because he knew what he was doing,
I mean, you think about it, Venus, and I think we saw in the movie too, Venus Williams, the night before the what was the first competitive match in like 3 years, right? She had been off the circuit. She was going back. And I think it was Nike had offered her the $3 million. She turned them down. She turned down the $3 million from Nike because she understood her worth. And it was like $3 million. You turn out $3 million from Nike. Who do you think you are? And she turned around and signed a $12 million deal with Reebok.
Right.
I think
exactly.
she may have ended up back with Nike at some point.
Right, for more money.
Yeah, for more money. But it wasn't for the $3 million that you tried to get me for. So, $12 million and so you got to know your worth. What's up, T Carmella? Hey, you got to be willing to hold out for the best deal. You got to be willing to hold out for the best deal.
Yeah, you can't never let anybody rush you into a deal, because when somebody rushing you to take a certain amount of money, and I give you a quick example. Motown got in some trouble. They couldn't get their money from their distributors because they had independent distribution. And so in order to, make some kind of sale, they were like, we got this $61 million check for you, this, that, and the other. He took it, and it wasn't 5 minutes later, dude ran down the hall of Universal and got $300 million for the company. So, could he have held out? I don't know, because I didn't know the whole financial situation. But it just goes to think, somebody rushing you, to take some money, and they know you kind of in a tight situation, not having patience. That's what'll get you all the time. I mean, even LeBron's first deal, I think he was offered $5 million, and he said, well, give me 48 hours to think about it. He went down there to Nike, and they offered him double that, this, that, and the other. So it's a matter of being patient, because all money ain't good money. The best thing to do is to wait. And then if somebody offering you something, they can't give you 48 hours, then they may be trying to hustle you.
Oh, yeah, you got to be on the lookout for the hustle. What's interesting? I don't wear a lot of Puma, right? Who signed a $12 million deal? Venus did. Venus did. Before her first deal, she turned down the money to Nike and signed the Reebok deal. But I'm reading here, and reminded as we was looking at this, it popped up that Serena's first deal was with Puma. Puma, what is it about Puma? Puma don't mind signing a young black sister. I don't wear no whole lot of Pumas. I ain't wear no whole lot of Pumas, but I need maybe there needs to be some more support around Puma, right? Mm-hmm. Like Flau'jae is in Puma. I think Serena was in Puma for her first deal. I don't know a lot about Puma, but
they hooked up with NASCAR, one of them NASCAR circuits now. That's how Flau'jae winded up swinging the flag or something, on your mark or whatever they do out at NASCAR. So Puma is, they cross, they're not in the just basketball. I think they doing some more upscale, type of things. It's just
well, I mean, her original deal was she signed a deal where she was supposed to also do movies and stuff. That part of the deal never came to fruition, but it was she was supposed to rock Puma and do some Regency film and commercials and stuff like that. So interesting, the different things and the way that you could structure some of your different passions and interests into these deals, especially these young people who are so much more than basketball right now. So Angel gets a percentage of each sneaker sold that has her name attached. Her name is her IP. Shaq kind of put her business out there on his episode Unapologetically Angel. If I remember correctly from him ranting, some of the money is in stocks and paid to a trust. I love it. I love it.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's right what
there. You want to be as creative as you need to be for you. This is about your generational wealth. It ain't about nobody else's generational wealth.
Exactly.
So, and Serena was saying she wanted a sponsor, somebody who believed in her. She ended up, with that Puma deal, and I think they signed her at Puma at 16. So, and I think she's only like number 41 in the world. But here's the real kicker though, y'all. This is the part that really blew our mind as we was looking into this. You don't need Iverson's crossover or Jordan's dunk to get in the sneaker game. Me and you can get in the sneaker game. Me and you. The global sneaker economy is an $80 billion plus and climbing economy. StockX, Go, eBay, they pushing billions more. Them platforms, the resale platforms, limited drops, the collabs, the hype. That sneakers priced like fine art. Y'all hear me? Sneakers out here selling like fine art. So this ain't just shoes, it's an economy. And basically, the fuel is the culture. It's us. Black, brown communities, we the heartbeat of this thing. And so from the block to the stage, every drop is a social event. Lines outside, stores, raffles, apps crashing, IG feeds flooded. You trying to see, did you get in a raffle? Sneakers, cultural currency. It's in my basket till I get to check out. Then it ain't no more left. Y'all, we see it with every drop, every month, several times a month as the holidays roll by. But ways in without a jump shot. Resellers, flipping the kicks with the capital plus the data. Customizers, turning the sneakers into art and story. Creators, building platforms on YouTube, TikTok, IG, and brand builders, dropping niche lines, collabs, new lanes. These are all ways that we can get in this game right now. I told you it's an $80 billion game. Hustle equals legacy. LLCs, trademarks, partnerships, youth workshops, storytelling through kicks, community investing, profits, new ventures, profits, IP, profits, generational wealth. We got to work like that. Move from collector to CEO. So you're not just buying sneakers, you're building a legacy that stands on its own 2 feet. So how do you see sneaker culture, Leo, as both a reflection of Black and brown creativity and as an untapped pathway to wealth for our communities?
You know, the culture has always been driven by Black and brown community. That style, that hype, that drop, all of that comes from our creativity. And so when you can turn culture into a business, resale, collaborations, content creation, brand building, that's how you transfer your influence into a real wealth for your community. You know, like you were saying, you don't have to have a jaw-dropping, a crossover like AI to be in the game. You know, you can be a boss in the game. And I was just thinking, it kind of reminded me of the creativity the young man when he was doing these special shoes for Reese her first year. The Reese's shoe and the Joker shoe and stuff. I mean, it's almost limitless, the creativity and the wealth that you can create, from these shoes. Because I'm sure that he out there, he's an airbrush artist, but he out there probably airbrushing, all, because everybody want to be unique. Everybody want to have their own swag. You want to step in the club, you're looking different, this, that, and the other. And, just like red bottom shoes, these tennis shoes are a statement of independence.
Lil, we kind of saw this before. What? I guess I want to understand kind of what happened. We had you had the G Units was out there. 50 had the G Units out. You had the S. Carters, right? You had the FUBU shoes. So we've been there. We've seen it. It didn't sustain. And so I wonder for y'all too, if you wore, FUBUs, if you wore any of those, the S. Carters, I ain't gonna front. I didn't have a pair of those. But if you wore them, what made you go away from them? Fat Farm had shoes. I never got into those shoes. I see the kids now, like my legend was saying, like, I'm signed to Curry, to the Curry brand, the Under Armour. So if I'm not rocking those, I can't really rock any of the other, like Adidas. So I'm rocking the Balenci's, the designer shoe, the designer tennis shoes instead. So what made y'all go away from the S. Carters and some of those other shoes if you did rock them?
But I think a lot of those were limited runs. A lot.
Okay, and then how do we make it sustainable? Because everybody, like, we had Rockaware gear and we had Fat Farm gear and I don't remember if Rough Riders had gear. At one point, every rap group had some gear. And some shoes that but as those rappers went away, I don't know, those brands went away, I guess.
Yeah, their popularity kind of waned. Yeah.
What advice would you give to a young person who loves sneakers but doesn't hoop? How can they start turning that passion into a profitable lane?
You know what? just start with something small. I would say, resell some limited drops. Do some, find you an airbrush dude. There's always an airbrush guy somewhere. Customize some designs and try to create content around your sneakers. Or try to launch a niche brand. If you can. You got access to a lot of factories and stuff over in China through Alibaba. And you could carve out your own little niche or your own little lane. You don't necessarily need to be on the court to be, in the game. You could do it around events. You could do it around white parties. I mean, it's just if you're creative, it's a whole lot of ways. You could go into different markets. You could take skates, for instance, airbrush them with specialties on it. It's a lot of little ways, and you got to kind of think outside the box. You got to look for markets, other, not sports related, but just other cultural markets that you can possibly tap into. So it's as only as it can go as far as your imagination, as to what
you know what? I agree too. Nike did just become kind of like the sneaker of choice. I don't know if it was because it was marketed the most. I was around hoop, what I'm saying? The Barclays was out. Agassi had Nikes. Everybody, Kobe was wearing Nikes. Chris Webber everybody's wearing Nikes. So it may have been that. But at that time though, the Reebok Classics, I had the Reebok Classics.
I wore them all the time. Class.
They came in different colors and they had the little card. You could get the deal on them. You could get the Reebok Classics for $25. You can get them for $25. I had all kind of colorways, black and white, orange, all kind of colorways. And you say like they're really comfortable right now. I hear that New Balance is really comfortable. I've never worn a pair of New Balance, but I hear it's a great walking shoe. Mm-hmm. I don't know how we got locked into Nike.
And even Skechers, you seen them Skechers designs? I'm like, Skechers done stepped their game up. I don't know who's doing their creativity, but it's looking nice.
Yeah.
And they attracting some good athletes. I thought it was a great signing. Signed a young lady from Los Angeles Sparks team. Her name just slips me. That was a great signing. She's gonna make them a whole lot of money. And she giving them credibility,
Exactly. Most people get their money back on sneakers through sneaker resale. Yes, some have been worn already before resale. Yeah, some of them. But then some of these people just make sure that they win a lottery and then put them out for sale. They never even wear them. The resale of them is crazy. Some of these exclusive drops. Mm-hmm. So, are y'all? Let me see. Ray Burrell signed with Nike. Rakia and Jackie.
Rakia, that's who signed with
Rakia, Jackie, Skechers. Somebody else. Snoop at Skechers. Who else?
Yeah, Snoop is at Skechers.
I forget. I was surprised. I was surprised at the Skechers deals. But let's bring it home. The legacy loop. Generational wealth can't stop at an athlete cashing a check. It can't stop right there. It's got to flow into foundations, schools, portfolios, institutions that recycle money back into our communities. And let me be clear. Kiki is with Skechers too. Let me be clear. We're not saying that people got to give all their money back to the community. I guess people, why they got it? Not all of it, but if they want to, it's a great way to give back. It's a great way to give back in a way that keeps on giving, right? Because that dollar continues to cycle through the community, right? Every dollar that you put back into the community cycles all the way back through the community. And so it's not just an endorsement. It's the pipeline, the ownership, and empowerment. So Iverson gave us culture. Jordan gave us empire. But the truth, intelligence equals foresight. So Iverson's trust fund showed protection. Jordan's Nike deal showed empire. This new NIL, though, it can be both. It's a chance to play with the culture and the capital at the same time. And we ain't had that. We ain't had that opportunity to be able to play with the culture and the capital at the same time. It's always like one or the other you had to choose. Mm-hmm. So, like, these kids really are sitting at a different level of empowerment that we need to really make sure that they understand before they start signing these deals. Because these deals come with deliverables, right? And milestones. and you become a brand at that point. So, but imagine if one, every 10th shoe, or 3% of every shoe, funds a scholarship. Partnerships incubating Black-owned and brown-owned brands. Athlete-led sneaker incubators. So you got the diversity and innovation right there in motion all together. A sneaker co-op, a wild card like that. Where you see athletes actually put their money together and launch their own damn brand. And then with the profits going back to the community. And that's when kicks stop being sneakers and start being seeds. That's when you start sowing seeds, right? Mm-hmm. The future is even bigger, especially like Lil, you talked about, how the world is changing, the global sneaker economy, AI, NIL, Web3 colliding, smart contracts on sneakers, every drop, resale, auto kicks, royalties back to the athlete, DAOs pooling fans, players to launch lines, fractional royalties, sneaker drops as a community stock. Could y'all imagine that? Come on, man. Don't just sign a deal, y'all. Structure your destiny. Every collab, every contract, every sneaker, a chance to build wealth, community, legacy. It's bigger than the shoe. It's about what the shoe builds for tomorrow. Do you two see Reebok, Skechers, Puma, and Adidas signing more players in the dub, or will Nike always dominate signing players in the dub? So I see them signing more players in the dub. Mm-hmm. I definitely see these young women partnering for more creative control and a bigger piece of the purse, right? 10% of your billion. Okay, if I can have 30 or 40% of 5 million. Might take that. But Lil, give us your final word. What's the one thing you want the young athletes and sneakerheads to remember when they think of money, kicks, and legacy?
Well, here's what I need y'all to remember. The game has always tried to sell us hype, but the real win is ownership. Sneakers are culture. But culture without capital just makes somebody else rich. Whether you sign an NIL, flipping kicks, or building your own lane, think like a shareholder, not just a shoe wearer. Because at the end of the day, it's not about rocking the hottest pair. It's about making sure those kicks are walking your family straight into generational wealth. Don't just buy into the culture, own a piece of it. And that's how we move from consumer to creator, from player to power. So those are the things that I want you all to remember, pass on. We have a recording of this that you can, share with others. Because the world is ever changing, and I believe that sports is going to be the final frontier for capitalism as we know it. And I think that people better think about sports, because it's one of the greatest exports that we have in this country. And you got some emerging markets, going to be tremendous amount of wealth. There are only a periods of time in capitalism where wealth is created. And I think for the culture, this is your moment, and I think you should take advantage of it. All it takes is a little education, asking questions, gathering information, and hopefully you can create, some lasting wealth for you and yours.
So absolutely. I love that. I'm going to find an article when a free agent broke down CeCe's Nike deal and stated she should fire her agent because apparently she doesn't get a percentage of the sale of her sneakers. Yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a look at that. An ex-agent, not free agent. Got you. Okay. Yeah, if you could find that, please share it. I would love to take a look at that. So to the chat fam, we appreciate y'all pulling up and rocking with us. Make sure you hit that like, hit that ex-wife agent. Oh, okay. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Share this out. Share this with 10 people, man. Bring 10 people to the next PoliSports Tea Time conversation. I think we got on Thursday. We on our next episode of Broken Sky. So we'll be talking Chicago Sky, the con. The long con. Y'all see. Y'all see.
The sting.
The sting. Okay. It's all good, T. Carmelo. But look, much love to y'all for rocking with us. Cess Talk Sports, B-Wise, PoliSports Tea Time. If y'all listen, if any of this, if y'all caught anything from this, equity over endorsement, culture plus capital, legacy over hype. Y'all like, share, comment, subscribe. When you spread the word, tag it, hashtag respect our game. Pull up at respectourgame.online. Keep building this movement. The next NIL breakdown, we're gonna break down agents and the rise of the black athlete brand. But on our next episode, we'll be breaking down Broken Sky, the Sting. Man, until then, though, man, y'all keep your kicks fresh, keep your contract smarter, keep your legacy loop tight. Session favorite non-team with tendencies. Political will. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon.
Yeah.